bro, yeah. Hey, pup. What are you doing? Keep going. Gummy, keep going. Keep going. Come on, come on. I was a police trainer or instructor, and started to have a role teaching some of the training days that we were running, and we all sort of shared them. They were just to share the load. The bullying that had been that bad for me, that a friend of mine further south in the South Island had rung and said, "Hey, you need to be aware that there is now a target on your back." And I sort of scoffed at it initially, thinking, "Oh, whatever," and so be it. And this guy isn't a guy who would overreact to anything. He actually is pretty level-headed. And he said, "No, I'm serious. You need to take this bloody seriously, that you are in danger and they are after you, physically, and if they can sit you up inside, and internally they will as well." Yeah.
So you were told there might be an accident, essentially.
Yeah. That's basically how it might work. That might be an easy way of getting rid of the problem, that an accident might occur, and it probably wouldn't be that difficult to explain all of that when you're doing some stress shooting or something like that. You could probably, I guess it could be seen as an accident quite easily. Thankfully it didn't, but the guy that told me about it certainly wouldn't be, I guess there's be people in your life that would tell you that and you think, oh, you're just wanting a story for Facebook or whatever. He had no interest in that. He'd heard it through other AOS members that were being told all about me and how bad I was, because I was this narc. Never about my performance, nothing about that. It was just about I spoke up against the boys club.
And this sort of thing, people say stupid things, and that it might have been a joke to them, but when it filters through to the person who's the victim of it, there's
nothing funny. No, and it had been through 15 levels of filtration by the time it got to him, and he took it upon himself to ring me as I would ring him. Like, this is shit. I've heard this about you. What's going on initially, and then holy shit, are you sure you want to be doing that tomorrow? So one phone call I could have, I did take on board. Thinking, so be it. For him to follow it up with the second one, that was. Yeah, there's a bit of realism there, so it's, it's not cool.
So I understand that, I suppose during the early days or at some point on the West Coast, the management there would really crack down on bullying and all this sort of behaviour.
Mm.
When did that change and how did it change?
Yeah, so basically the police started pushing, it was always pitched to us as it was highlighting an area of improvement needed, and that's when this whole code of conduct, there's always been a code of conduct, but it was really pushed, and they started pitching the core values of the police, integrity, honesty, all this sort of stuff, which is great, and every organisation needs that. Heaps of posters started appearing on the wall. At the start on the coast, when that first came out, the training was delivered, and basically once the PowerPoint was switched off and the bosses had left, the middle management would say, "Don't worry about that, we're not interested in that kind of stuff, that doesn't really apply, just go through the motions and tick the box." This is training that's been delivered to improve professionalism. The moment the professional people walk out the door, we just don't worry about it. That's sort of when it started down there. The management team on the coast at the time I was there comprised of an area commander and inspector level and 3 senior sergeants sort of under him, running response and prevention and CIB. And they were absolutely brilliant. Like I've been on the receiving end of them for things that I needed to improve on, or things, they would just toe the line, hold your head high, and just, if you do something wrong, we can figure it out, and not in any dodgy way. Just be honest. They were just people of absolute integrity and impeccable nature. When the rest of the drama started happening for me down there and the police, they had the rug pulled out from underneath them by their managers. So initially, they stood up against everything that was going on wrong down there, to the point where they ended up all exiting the job through varying levels of stress and discomfort, because they did the right thing, but the rug literally got pulled out underneath them during that process.
So that was from management further up the chain?
Way above me, yeah. So, I was a sole charge cop down there, had responsibility, but no management or staff under me. And then they were sort of 2 or 3, 4 levels above that in terms of the chain of command. So.
And so you started to inform people of this sort of behaviour or something like that, is that right?
Well, basically, I said to them, it went again where Richard Chambers, who was then the district commander, he's now the, I think, assistant commissioner, he got a phone call from Jason Martin, this constable down there, who basically said, "Hey, look, we need to meet with you." I think they'd been to college together or something. I've never heard of it in 14 years of policing where you can just ring a district commander at a constable's rank and say, hey boss, turn up tomorrow. But that happened, and he did. In doing so, he drove straight past the the Greymouth station where all the management were. This is the guy who was their manager. Drove straight past them, came to a meeting summoned by a constable basically to discuss this restructure. So then the meeting, Richard Chambers is a likeable kind of guy. He's the sort of guy who would do that, and it wasn't out of character to, hey, let's talk to the troops. He's that sort of guy. He came in and had a chat about the restructure, and then and that was okay. And his angle was he'd go back to the bosses and report what he thought of. Basically, during that meeting, he made a decision that the restructure wasn't going to happen, which wasn't overly fair on any sort of process. But he is the boss. That's how it goes. Then these particular staff all started laying into the management in front of Richard Chambers. They were calling, name calling, just talking about, effing incompetence. Some people were just fat and useless. All these sort of things would get made in there. Now, him as a district commander should be saying, "Hey guys, this isn't, a free for all. We behave better than this, I stood up at one point and said, "Look, I might go now. We've sort of had what we needed to talk about." He then sort of calmed it back down again, and then it sort of went up again and just kept going. And it was everything you could think of, just absolute slander on these guys. And he sat there and watched it. Now, there's no way I could do a lot about that there and then in a room of 8 or 10 people, but it was absolutely wrong. We meant to be, police meant to have integrity and professionalism. This was just disgusting. So what my role when it became, I sort of said to anybody who asked me over that period of time, because there's a whole lot of collusion going on. People wanted to get sides. We're going to take this to the media, and we think, well, this is not from the management, this is from the staff. And I said, look, I don't want to be part of it. If anyone asks me, I'll tell it like it is. I don't care. I just wanted to look after my job, my family, and my career. It's all I cared about. So I made no secret of that. I didn't want to be part of any boys group or any culture. So the bosses came and asked me a few days later what I knew about it, and I was really uncomfortable doing anything about it because I knew what would happen. I knew I'd be here today. And I said, well, look, I'm happy to talk about it, but there needs to be some sort of protection around this. Like, you need to know it's not right, but equally, I know if I speak up, then I'm basically signing my own resignation later in life. All the protection in the world was offered from the management team there, and they did everything they could, and even as far as putting paperwork in a protected disclosure around what was going on. Somewhere along the lines, one of those protected disclosures got leaked, and I walked into the Hokitika station, and there's my protected disclosure job sheet sitting on the table, and there was no one reading it. They didn't need to. It was just, we know what you know and that you've told, and here it is. And that was pretty scary because you're thinking, well, it's just a warning sign, basically, that they're all well aware of it, the boys' club's aware of it, and we obviously don't like it, and yeah, we want to let you know how uncomfortable your life's going to become.
I was hoping you might be able to touch on a couple of the key incidents where you've been bullied, and where you say that you weren't provided backup.
No worries. A best example of that would be, unfortunately, it was an international sort of incident at the same time. There was a cop down there who was also a member of the Armed Defender Squad like I was. He had well and truly taken exception to me standing up against the boys' code effectively. And everybody knew he was, had it in for me, was basically, didn't like me, whatever. I didn't really care. But he, at the time, unfortunately, was put in a position, in my opinion, wrongly, as an acting sergeant in Hokitika. So me being south in Ross, he was effectively my line supervisor. This is the sort of games they play because in any organisation, somebody who's effectively doing the bullying, not because I'm scared of the guy, but he was part of this culture, how the hell does he become my line manager in any way? It's wrong. Anyway, we had I was working, so he had been on early shift as a relieving sergeant down there. So any job, to give some context on that, he should be well aware of any job that comes in. I mean, he doesn't have to go to every job, and in fact a good manager doesn't. They just have a good overseeing of what's going on. That's his job. Me and Ross was one of his effective staff he should be keeping oversight on. A job came through where a car south of Ross had gone, travelled through near Harry, a little township down there. Basically a one-lane bridge over major freshwater river, basically. They'd gone over the barrier and into the river. So no one had any more information than that, car over the bridge into the river. So the call came through initially to me, and I was no doubt the closest, so it was my job. That in itself isn't a major. They happen, but obviously there's emergency around that. And I had about a 20-minute probably travel time to that job. Driving down there with lights and sirens, obviously trying to coordinate what you can on the radio, thinking it pretty much all hands to the pump, get everybody there. Information came through that the car was basically bobbing up and down in the water. So there was a good chance that, having seen a few of these things, probably a pretty good idea that someone wasn't going to be alive. However, when the car's bobbing up and down, there is a chance they might be alive. Well and truly one of those jobs where you might be getting wet to try and save a life kind of scenario here pretty soon. So I was asking for people on the radio to come. And my backup for that job were other staff, which you'd normally get 8 or 10, even 12, 15 staff for those sort of jobs initially, while everyone spreads out after that. My staff came from further south in Franz Joseph to help me, which is miles down the road, and from Greymouth, driving through Hokitika. So the area, my acting sergeant was in Hokitika, not once got on the radio, well aware of the job, had been notified of the job, and my response staff to help me back up had literally driven from another 30 minutes north of him to drive through. Now that, I don't believe for a minute that he had made him not coming made any difference. I didn't need managing, I didn't need his wisdom, and I don't think the end result for that couple might have made any difference. But he bloody well should have been there, and to let personalities or his thoughts on me being the supposed narc get in the road of potentially saving lives is absolutely appalling.
How long did it take for somebody to back you up to be at the scene with you?
Yeah, well, the first other cop that turned up was from Franz Joseph. He was there not long after me, and then half an hour, 40 minutes behind them was the staff from Greymouth that did turn up.
And how long is it from Hokitika to where this was?
Oh, I mean, he would have been, so if I was there in hypothetically 20 minutes, he would have been there in 25 or 30, and then the extra delay from the Greymouth staff behind me, so there was half an hour or 40 minutes that didn't need to happen.
Was there any reason given for why they didn't attend?
Yeah, no. So what happened was, because I hit the roof, quite honestly, I thought that I knew what was going on, and I remember talking to my senior sergeant at the time who got on the air to say what was happening, and I said, you better give me a ring rather than do this over the air, because I'm not going to have every man and his dog listen. And I said to her, I said, what the hell is going on here? Like, well, this is after the dust had settled. This is disgusting, and yeah, I'll have a look at it. And they did look into it. He wasn't aware of the job, and logged off about 40 minutes later and went home. So, in a rural environment, if there's a job like that and you're the acting sergeant, you stay there until it's finished. Whether that's 24 or 36 hours, unfortunately, those guys work some huge hours, and you don't go home when there's two bodies bobbing in the water.
What do you think the police need to do to fix this culture, and do you think it needs to come right from the top at the commissioner level?
It's got to go above the commissioner. It has to be from above the commissioner's level. The trigger point for me, and I've sat on information for a number of years, and I've been contacted by a number of reporters, as a lot of ex-cops have been. We've never pushed it. We've never pushed the button, so to speak, on telling our story. Watching Mike Bush say what he said in the news the other day about there is no culture in the police, and there's nothing to be worried about and everything else, and Stuart Nash's sort of response to it and everything else, that it's all under control and there's nothing to really worry about. I remember I just finished quite a long day at work and sitting on the couch and watching the news, just absolutely gobsmacked. I mean, I've never thrown anything in the TV in my life, but I probably felt like it, because it's just an absolute load of rubbish. They need, the ultimate thing for me, and I'm not in any of this, I don't want to be on camera. I'm not interested in any having my face on Facebook and people commenting. They will, and that's okay. I'm not interested in anything to do with it. What I want to see is that if my children decided to join the police, that their culture is safe, and if they saw something from theft to if their workmate had been bullied or picked on, that was fixed and they were safe to do so. Because at the moment there's nowhere near it. I mean, my 12-year-old he's always wanted to be a cop, right or wrong. If he said to me in 10 years' time, in the current climate, Dad, I want to join the police, I'd go door knocking and find him a job. I would anything but the police. And that's not because the cops are, the frontline staff are bad people. They're fantastic. I mean, as I said earlier on, they do an incredible job in some shitty circumstances for pretty average wages, really, come to be honest. It's nothing to do with them, and we still have very good friends within the police, and I've got absolute admiration for them. It's just the management level and the culture from above. There's definitely a lot of bad apples, and I know there's still 2 or 3 rotten ones working in the Hokitika station down there that need to get out of the job as quick as they could, but they won't. They're untouchable, those sort of people. They can fester away in their own little world, I don't really care, but the culture around, from the Mike Bush, Richard Chambers sort of superintendent level, and district commander, area commander, assistant commissioner kind of level needs to change. My ultimate goal would be a commission of inquiry or ministerial inquiry. So much so that when that came, the first thing I did was email Stuart Nash. I thought, well, hey, someone's got to grab this. This another constable head or ex-cop had spoken out and put his name to it. And I thought, this is brilliant. Like, someone's finally saying something. So I emailed Stuart Nash and outlined what was going on, and basically said the same in an abbreviated version. No reply. I mean, he's the police minister, no response. What I did do in that, to be smart enough, was to CC the National Party equivalent, and of course that's gained some leagues, because they can see, and they can't believe that the police minister hasn't got involved with it. They need to do something well and truly above Mike Bush.